Surrealism is the 20th century avant-garde movement in art and literature that sought to release the creative potential of the unconscious mind. Frida Kahlo was born on July 6, 1907 in Mexico. She began painting after several injuries she obtained in a bus accident. When she married Diego Rivera in 1929, she became more and more politically active.
By 1932, Kahlo painted more graphic and surrealist elements into her paintings, such as Henry Ford Hospital. This tells a story of her second miscarriage. She considered herself a surrealist, and in 1938, she befriended Andre Breton.
She had a major exhibition in New York City and sold half of her 25 paintings shown. She painted the suicide of Dorothy Hale in 1939 for a friend, and in the end the friend was horrified of how it turned out.
In 1939, when she lived in Paris, she befriended Marcel Duchamp and Pablo Picasso. She also divorced Diego. During this time, she painted her most famous work, The Two Fridas.
She painted The Broken Column in 1944, and this depicted when she had to wear a surgical brace because of her numerous accidents. She combines the indigenous cultures of Mexico with the European ideals such as symbolism, realism, and surrealism.
Frida died in 1954 in Mexico. Leonora Carrington was born in Lancashire, England on April 6, 1917. She was an English-born Mexican artist and writer. Most of her works included incorporating sorcery, metamorphosis, alchemy, and the occult.
Carrington's mother and nanny, who were both Irish, introduced her to Celtic mythology and Irish folklore, which later appears in her work. She met Max Ernst in 1937 and became romantically involved. They later ran away to Paris. She was 20 and he was 46.
She met Andre Breton, Salvador Dali, Pablo Picasso, and Lenore Finney. In 1937 through 38, she painted a self-portrait, The Inn of the Dawn Horse. Later in 1938, she participated in the exposition International du Surrealisme in Paris and the Surrealism exhibition in Amsterdam.
Her and Ernst moved to the south of France, where she wrote short stories like The House of Fear, which was illustrated by Ernst, and The Oval Lady.
In 1944, she wrote her book Down Below. She was put into a mental institution in Spain after Ernst was taken to a Nazi prison camp. She came back to the States and soon moved to Mexico City. There were paintings that featured three women, such as Three Women Around a Table, which was painted in 1951.
After marrying again to a Hungarian photographer, she had two children, one in 1946 and one in 1947. After this, she showed more motherhood in her work, such as The House Opposite and The Giantess.
In 1963, she created a large mural for the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City, entitled El Mundo Mágico de los Mayas, which means The Magic World of the Mayans. She published her best-known novel, The Hearing Trumpet. In 1954, she painted Juggler, which didn't make history till 2005 for selling at the high price of $713,000. This was the highest price paid for a work by a living surrealist.
She died at age 94 and is known as the last of the surrealists.
Against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime?
Lenore Finney was born in Buenos Aires in 1907 to Italian and Argentine parents. She grew up in Italy and was raised by a strong-willed, independent mother. All of her art abilities were self-taught.
First attempts at painting led her to Milan, Italy. In 1929, she participated in a group exhibition. She then moved to Paris in 1931. She had close relationships with Surrealist painters and writers such as Paul Ivaro, Salvador Dali, Mouret, and Max Ernst. In 1939, she curated an exhibition of Surrealist furniture for her childhood friend, Leo Castelli.
The predominant theme of her work is the complex relationship between the sexes, also mythology, metamorphosis, dreams, and the unconscious. Her paintings also have Italian mannerism and Germanic romanticism.
She designed jewelry, furniture, fashion, and costumes. In 1939, she exhibited her corset chair. In 1942, she painted Sphinx Amelberga. As she aged, her paintings got more decorative and colorful, and in 1966, she painted The Anatomy Lesson. In the 1960 series of works, she showed multiple paintings which displayed women facing each other in a train compartment. She is internationally known for designs, sets, and costumes for the theater, opera, and ballet.
She illustrated numerous books such as Juliet in 1944 and Les Fleurs du Mal in 1964. She designed costumes for films including Federico Fellini's 8½ in 1963 and John Hudson's A Walk with Love and Death in 1969.
She died in 1996 in Paris.
Oh dear, I wonder where my basket can be.
Remedios Varo was born in Spain in 1908. Her parents were a big influence in her life. She moved to Paris for the more current art movement. She was motivated by ancient studies and literature, but also by physics, mathematics, engineering, biology, and psychoanalysis.
She has a collection of over 140 art pieces, 110 of which were made in Mexico City after moving there with a friend. She met Salvador Dali at the San Fernando Academy in Spain. She liked the hidden meaning in his works and the hidden characters, especially the cats.
She made many self-portraits. Her painting, A Visit to Plastic Surgeon, displayed how she always worried about the shape of her nose and debated having plastic surgery.
She passed away due to a heart attack at 55 in Mexico City in 1963. Was born in Paris in 1911. She studied at many different schools in Paris as well as the Art Students League in New York.
She became an engraver, painter, and by the 1940s, she was well known for her sculptures. Her early sculpture was composed of groupings of abstract and organic shapes.
By the 1960s, she began to execute her work in rubber, bronze, and stone. The dominant theme carried through all of her work was her childhood. She said, "My childhood has never lost its magic, it has never lost its mystery, it has never lost its drama."
Her work was deeply symbolic and often featured her relationship with her parents and her relationship with sexuality. She was also known for anamorphic figures, which were charged with sexuality and innocence, and the interplay between the two.
Her work is displayed at most major museums around the world. She lived in New York and passed away in 2010.